democracy. We've tried to vote in the man we want, and you guys took his life.
So I don't, yeah. So, okay. Yeah, I think be very different this live. I'm not going to talk as much. I just want to kind of hear people's thoughts. And that's why if you want to share your opinions on it, I'm just going to let you speak. Of course, if it's hate speech or whatever it is, I'm not going to allow it to happen. But I'm just saying you're more free to speak as well and express yourself. So, King, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, sorry, I've just been listening. I mean, I'm more of a learner. I'm sorry, I'm not educated enough, but I am totally interested in what's going on in Iran. And it was really cool what Africa really brought up just now, like back in the 70s, that Iran was a whole different place. That's kind of crazy. Like, that's something I'm going to have to research and look up as well. Because, I always thought they were just, totally Islamic, 100%. When you start bringing up democracies and stuff like that. Yeah, that's crazy, man. But yeah, it's like Africa was saying, man. The fact that like people are getting for protesting is still kind of crazy. In my I still believe that's crazy. People should be allowed to speak up. But yeah, there's got to be another motive for everything as well. And then it's like you said, you got to look at Iran's placement, and everyone's always said, it's like, all these countries, all these superpowers, quote unquote, are like, we want this particular, we want this stronghold, innit? It's like the Greenland shit with Trump as well, which is crazy. That's another question. What's everyone think about Greenland? Has anyone even heard of any Greenlandish people?
Yeah, I think of course people in Greenland don't want to be taken over by Trump. But it's also going to be very difficult because Greenland within itself was predominantly Inuit and it was taken over by the Danish Empire. So that's going to be a bit difficult within itself. But of course, I don't think they want to be taken over by America because America ain't any better. But this topic specifically is about Iran as well because wait, you can't see the ratio. Wait, hold on. You can't see the prompt? What about now? Can everybody see the prompt? The full prompt?
I can definitely see it.
Well, but if you're on the panel, it's different than people who are watching the live, though, to be fair. Because people watching the live sometimes... Okay, you can see it now. Can you see the full prompt, though? Or do I need to fix it? Because if I need to fix it, I can also just restart the live. It's good. Okay, good. Yeah, so this is specifically I wanted to talk about Iran because I'm seeing very worrying numbers coming out. Some people are saying a couple thousand people have already died. And that's precisely why I do want to talk about Iran for now. And I want to hear people's thoughts on it. That's why. Then protests is some bull. If you disagree with it, you can also come up, definitely. Please come up and share your thoughts. Yes, Hublai, what do you want to say?
I've just now seen a report that say that 538 people are verified dead in Iran and 16,000 have been arrested. I can't verify those numbers. I have no idea what the source is. Iran is claiming they have recorded conversations that prove that Mossad and the CIA have been assassinating people on both sides, exactly like they did in Kyiv in 2014, to try to aggravate the protests and turn them into a regime change. The CIA has done this at least 5 times in Iran, tried to create what's called a color revolution, where there isn't really a common cause among the protesters. Protesters with every objective are pulled together, saying, now's the time, topple the regime. And of course, at the end, you get a CIA-picked president, right? Not what you wanted, but what they want. And it seems unlikely that would even be like the Shah, but because he's only got 5% popularity. But their idea is anybody but, the mullahs currently in charge. And we know that, there have been assassinations of Iranian officials directly by Israel. Israel's absolutely involved in this false flagging. and how sincere the riots are and how directed they are from outside is very hard to tell. Iran has a few people that they believe are ringleaders that they intend to try and execute very quickly. I don't know about the wisdom of that in this situation. It might be smarter to, get them to spill and keep them around longer. But whatever is going on here, it absolutely involves interference from outside. It's a classic CIA method. What's tragic about this to me is Iran has, a limited democracy. People certainly can vote. Things like the hijab are subjected to referendum about every 10 years. And people that were working within the system for reforms to make people's lives better or easier, um, basically they're getting encouraged to get into these false flagged revolutions from the outside where they're just going to get shot and they're going to be stigmatized as stooges of the West forever. And their reforms are just not going to happen. This suits the West because the West wants, basically a bunch of resentful people there that they can stir up anytime they want. But it does absolutely no good for the people of Iran to help or participate. When the CIA gets involved in your internal affairs and your revolutions, it doesn't matter what you think you're doing. What you're doing is dying for the CIA, and then the CIA will be choosing your government. And that's what happened there in 1954. So,
Wow, that's crazy, man. I mean, does any people know anyone from Iran? I mean, what's the social media situation like? I mean, are they allowed to go on the internet and stuff like that? Is it like are they like?
Iranians are on the internet a lot. In fact, in the 90s, Farsi was like the number 4 most blogged language. And because internet access was kind of limited to the educated class and educational institutions, they were very heavy users of academic papers and things like that. A friend of mine actually ran all of the internet access to Iran in the 1990s, and he could see the traffic. And it was not cultural garbage. It was all scientific research papers, discourses about programming languages on news sites. It was essentially all business. And within Iran, they had quite a healthy culture of like open source blogging, and there is democracy isn't just about voting, right? It's about talking about ideas before you do things. And Iran had a very consultative thing going on, including in the religious community, where the clerics would answer 10 million emails a year, even in the 90s, about like fatwas and religious rulings, right? So this is a very high tech country. And it's not surprising that like 30, 40 years later, they're actually inventing a lot of high tech things. So one way to hit at a high tech country, of course, is to get at, use the internet to infiltrate and reach people. And I'd say that Mossad, CIA, and MI6 have done that and got themselves some agents. But Iran also is very sophisticated at finding these people. They just arrested and ejected a bunch of Mossad agents. A lot of money was circulating to their people in Iran. I think the reason for the timing of this, aside from kind of distracting from Greenland and more ongoing slaughter in Gaza, is because it's now or never. Those people who were being paid by Mossad are not being paid. They will wander off and do other things. They will not be in position to cause any mayhem. So they have to use them now or lose them. And so I think that's what they're doing. It's kind of a last-ditch attempt to knock the regime over. But like I said, it's the 5th or 6th time they've tried to start a color revolution. And technologically, this has escalated like absolutely crazy. Iran has brought in Chinese air defenses and Russian jamming equipment in the last 8 months since the 12-day exchange with Israel. And they have managed to shut down Starlink. And Starlink is how they were reaching their agents in Iran. So whole areas are like 95% Starlink denied because of these, this jamming tech. You will see that exact same technology now used in Ukraine, where it has been used to do things like direct sea drones into Crimea's harbors. So it's almost like this battle in Iran is proving a bunch of things about hybrid warfare that you will almost immediately see in other conflicts. Like they're using methods that they were using in West Bank and that they were using in Gaza, monitoring, web blocking. You're also seeing in Minneapolis the exact same tools as Gaza. Palantir, Where's Daddy, WebLock and things like this to track web traffic. They're using identical software in Minneapolis as was being used in Gaza. They're going to use identical jamming in Ukraine as is being used in Iran. Everybody's copying their methods from each other. So these wars are not unconnected. They're proving grounds for ways to control civilian populations and to win kinetic wars.
Yeah.
That's
So
why
I wanna run a quick poll before we go to Africa Debunked. I think you want to say something. So if there are 83 people here, if you agree with the U.S. military intervention type 1, if you don't agree with the U.S. or foreign military intervention type 2 in the chat, because I want to hear as well from the people in the chat. It's mostly all going to be 2, but I just wanted to kind of see if there are any, okay, so there is somebody who says that they're pro U.S. intervention. Okay, so to the people who say that they're pro U.S. intervention, please do request. I would like to hear your perspective on this as to why you would want a U.S. or foreign intervention. So while we do that, Africa Debunked, what did you want to say?
I think because some of my good friends are Persian, and I think one of the things that, even because some of them are religious, some of them are not religious, but I think one of the things that they understand geopolitically is that Iran is being politically suppressed, and that if the Middle East was left on its own, Iran are the natural leaders of that region. They always have been. They've always been the big economy, the big culture of that region. The Persian culture has always been the dominant culture. Just like if you look at South America, unless you meddle, Brazil are the big boys of that region. If you look at North America, unless you meddle, America are the USA are the big boys of that region. If you look at Africa, Nigeria, South Africa, those are the big boys of that region. Within the Middle East, Iran are the big boys. However, through like US meddling, you've had like the rise of artificial kind of quote unquote big players in the region who without US support would not be, and US meddling would not, it's unnatural. It's unnatural for Saudi Arabia to have this massive influence over the Middle East. That has never historically been a thing. Saudi Arabia has historically been a religious tourist destination and a desert, like a desert backwater. Like Israel, which is like also is a new modern state, like, and it's able to kind of push its influence all over the region. But that is not historically what the Middle East has been. Historically, the big boys of the Middle East have been Persia, has been Iran, and you can see that like within the Middle East there's been so much meddling that like even the axis of power being between Saudi, Israel, and Iran is an unnatural axis that has been brought into place because of US meddling, because of Western meddling. If you left the Middle East alone, Iran would be calling the shots, and Iran would be the natural kind of big culture within that region. And I think people fundamentally understand that like the reason why people have an issue with Iran is because like they would prefer if the leading voice of that region was a US vassal state, because Israel is a US vassal state, Saudi Arabia is a US vassal state. I think when you step back, I think that is the big thing that a lot of like, especially politically astute Iranians understand, that people simply do not want a non-allied, non-vassal state to be in control of such a region or to have like leading influence over such a region.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I mean, it sounds like a similar thing like what happened to Iraq then, like because I've been hearing so many conflicting stories about like Saddam and back in the day, like, do you know what I mean? And like, do you know what I mean? Again, like I'm uneducated, but then you hear all these like horror stories about Saddam, but then you hear like, well, not really, like, do you know what I mean? He was actually not that bad. Like, is that, do you know what I mean? It's like a propaganda thing at the end of the day, or not?
Okay, let's give the new guests a chance to speak. Let's go to Nico, and then we'll go to Ofratko afterwards.
Hi, Kovi.
Hi.
This is I'm kind of not an expert on like Iranian politics or anything. I just have a friend that lives there, and I met him in college, and he moved back. And a few months ago, when there was like a bombing campaign there, and I checked in with him, and he was like, I think it's pretty ridiculous for Israel and the U.S. to call for us to kind of rise and take over our government, because I think at that time it just wasn't an organic kind of movement. So it just felt like it was a ridiculous request. But it seems like now it is organic, or at least maybe it's hit like a boiling point. And so when I called in, when I WhatsApped him, he essentially said like, yeah, it's finally happening, and I know that the last time the U.S. intervened was, I think, in the 50s, right, with the Shah. And so I'm a little bit conflicted, because I think American intervention has never resulted in a stable kind of like government for that region. But I have this maybe naive bias towards like this hope that my friend has. And so since he's there on the ground level and he's saying like, we need some intervention, then I would certainly support that. But I am definitely conflicted, and I'm not an expert, so I don't have like an expert opinion on it.
Well, just to point
But
out
wait, hold on. Let's go to We'll go to Ofratko, and then we'll go to Aya.
It was a protest of merchants who were protesting against inflation. Inflation in Iran is 40%. But then weird tweets and messages started to come from the West. Remember Mike Pompeo messaging that he's praying for Iranian people, and all the Mossad agents in the crowds as well. And then Amichai Eliyahu, which is a minister of heritage, went to Israel Hayom, and he literally stated that there are agents in the crowd helping the protesters, okay? And then the violence started. The violence is very bad, basically from both sides. Unfortunately, the protesters, well, I'm not sure if there are protesters or actually rioters at this stage. Some of them, they have put fire into mosques. Apparently, they have put 25 mosques to fire, which is quite a lot in Tehran. Some sources are saying 30. They have attacked hospitals, and also they have attacked some schools. They've attacked the firefighters coming to extinguish the fires. That's the reports. And the governmental forces have massacred many polite and peaceful protesters. So I kind of have a feeling, because you have to remember it's 90 million country. Apparently around 20% are still supporting the government. That's 18 million? It sounds like they would like to cause more divisions and maybe some kind of civil religious war, even fracturing of the country. Because if you have seen some statements from Israeli government a few years back, not like recently just, they believe that Iran is too big and they would like to see it fractured. I mean, you can always go and check it out. They feel, as with Syria, that Syria is fractured, okay? Syria is no more. The same thing with Iran. There should be more like little provinces happening. Iran should be smaller, less centralized as government goes. That's from me.
Thank you. Let's go to Aya KM, and then we'll go to Black on top.
No, this is a good thing. Like, just because Iran has certain, like, positions against Israel doesn't make them, like, heroes or anything good. I think they deserve this, and it'll be beneficial to everybody else in the region if Iran is split up into smaller states. It's a good thing that's happening, and they deserve it for what they've done in Iraq and what they've done in Syria by supporting the Alawite regime against Sunnis.
Mm-hmm. If I may ask, where are you from, Aya?
Well, I'm from Pakistan.
Okay.
My friend, along what lines would you like Iran broken up into?
Ethnic lines. So I think there should be an Arabistan, an independent Balochistan, and there another Persian state, and the Kurds can have their part.
And who would that be to the benefit of?
Us.
Who? As in who's us? As in Iranians?
No, Pakistanis. That would be beneficial to our country, mate. That makes it easier for us to start taking territory.
So this is all because you would like a balkanization of Iran, not for Iranians, but because it would be in the best interest of Pakistan and Pakistani expansionism.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I couldn't realistically, if I'm being honest, I couldn't care about the Shah supporters or the IRCG supporters.
Are you trolling or?
No, I'm being serious.
You're being 100% serious at this
Yeah,
point.
I'm being serious.
Okay.
That's
I
crazy,
appreciate
bro.
the brutal honesty, man.
How come
because,
all these countries?
At least
Wait,
he's not pretending to be virtuous.
One at a time, please. Nobody overtalk one another. One at a time. Hi, Smitty.
I was just saying.
Hi, big bro. But
I was just saying. To be fair, there's not much I can say to that. I appreciate the brutal honesty. I disagree. I think that's a very kind of warped perception. But I appreciate him not lying and pretending his position was some virtuous position. He just wants to do a land grab. He doesn't really care about the Iranians. Cool. That's your opinion. Cool. I understand. I haven't got anything to say to that.
Yeah, that's a crazy opinion.
yeah, is there anybody?
People are saying that I'm not. Oh, sorry, Kobe.
No problem. Is there anybody who wants to respond to him?
Yeah, I would like to respond very quickly. If you remember the issue with Pakistan and India just recently, Israel was involved in India. They supported India fully. After Iran, Pakistan will be next because we have nuclear weapons. They do not want any Islamic nation to have nuclear weapons, and I believe Saudi Arabia will be next. So if you believe that you are not going to be attacked, you are going to be the next.
But I get that position. But Iran was also supporting India. Iran has a lot of Indian investment within it. So if Iran no longer receives Indian investment, there'll be no return of money going back from Iran into India. That's a beneficial thing for us. And under the IRCG, Iran hasn't been a friendly state or a friendly nation to Pakistan, whereas under the Shah it was.
I would say, in regards to
with
India,
Let's go to wait. Hold on. Sorry. Let's go to Black Top Box because you haven't said anything.
Hello. Can I ask an off-topic question?
Let's stick to the topic for today.
On the topic, I have no questions.
Okay, I think we would best if we stuck to the topic. To be fair, thank you. Let's go to Nico. Nico, what are your thoughts after everybody's opinions on this? Do you think a U.S. or Israeli military intervention would be positive?
I don't know. I don't think it's ever really. I don't know if we have evidence it's ever really been positive. But I know, like from talking to some of the Iranian elders, they speak of Iran as previously a very progressive culture and liberal kind of place to live, and then they talk of this kind of Islamic revolution which resulted in a lot of horrible things. And so when I speak to the Iranian elders in the US, they all claim of fleeing this horrible place, right? So because I think the Iranian culture is amazing and the people are brilliant, it sucks to see them kind of suffer. So there is this kind of naive desire that I have, I think, potentially, to see them return to something like that. But I don't know. I mean, even with I think Venezuela is kind of analogous, where I do think that freeing Venezuela, that there's so much strings attached on the back end that I don't necessarily celebrate what's going on there. So I wonder if there's something like that going on with Iran, where
why? Sorry to interrupt. Why is Iran so important all of a sudden? Well, not all of a sudden, but like Venezuela, and then you got Trump talking about do you mean $100 billion worth of oil? Do you know what I mean? It kind of makes it's kind of suspect, isn't it? I mean, why are they all trying to jump into Iran now? And
guys, I think when we're I think what the guy said was really important, because as you said, Iran was not always like this. Iran used to be a very open, progressive society, but Iran being this kind of conservative, far right kind of revolutionary guard, Shia regime, that was not their first choice. They did not choose this. They chose socialism. They chose Mohammed Mossadegh. They chose left-leaning politics, and the West, under the Monroe Doctrine, said absolutely not. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing this. We're not letting you be like. I don't care how you voted. I don't care about what you think is democracy. We're going to reinstate the Shah, and we're going to unalive Mohammed Mossadegh. Iran chose democracy. Iran chose socialism. It was US meddling that caused this, because you gave people no hope and they chose their faith. And then for Americans to have the audacity to come around and say, let's go and meddle some more. No, the last time you meddled, the outcome was this radical regime we have now. Stop meddling in people's stuff. I think, are we not learning the lessons of the past? The whole reason why they were radicalized is because we wouldn't leave them alone.
Okay, so by the way, while we're having this conversation, Marwa on the top box is from Gaza. So I'm just going to keep her up here. It would be awesome if we could get her at least to 2K throughout the conversation, y'all. So she's from Gaza. She'll stay here. But before we go to Aya, because I do have a question for you, let's go to Zayed, oh, wow, W gifters. Zayed, what are your thoughts with what's happening in Iran? Do you think it's a revolution or attempting a coup, or what are your thoughts?
To be honest, I don't know what you would consider all of that. I do think they're trying to have a revolution, but I do think it's a bad idea. Obviously, Iran is a Muslim country, so they need to respect the law of the land. They need to respect their government. They need to respect their leaders. So I disagree with them trying to revolutionize everything, to have a revolution. Respect your leaders and respect the laws of the land. And yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay. So I want to go back to, thank you for your opinion. Aya Kim, what do I call you, by the way?
Just Aya, I think.
Aya, okay,
Yeah.
Aya. So what would so you said it would be better for Iran to balkanize. So what does the fragmentation look like, and who would determine what the fragmentation is like which countries, in your opinion?
I think the surrounding countries around Iran would be the best to decide about what land gets split up. And then also consensuses within the regions themselves. Does Balochistan, let's say, want to be a part of Persia, or asking these people, the provinces individually, whether they'd want to be a part of it or not.
And do you think, let's if there are any Iranians here, by the way, I'd love to hear your opinions on this, but to the panel, what are your thoughts on what Aya just said? Whoever wants to speak, you can unmute.
Well, the idea that you can just...
Yes, let's go to Afratko, and then we'll go to
Go
Hublai.
ahead. No, Hublai wasn't actually talking at all, the last 10 minutes.
Okay, then let's go to Hublai, and then we'll go to Afratko.
Well, I don't know if my connection's good here, but I think it's very naive to think that you could just break up these countries and subject a region by region referendum of who joins what. The borders internally would start to get disputed. Ethno-states barely work in Western Europe. It would become chaotic. Israel had this plan. It's called the Yinon Plan, Y-I-N-O-N, to do exactly this, to break up the whole region into ethno-states, none of them big enough to threaten Israel. The problem, of course, is it's a bunch of Yugoslavias. It would just be battle over long settled connected peoples who have been answering to one national government, suddenly unwilling to become a minority in their own country. At least in Iran, probably every group is a minority, but if you're the only minority, then you have a great deal of difficulty. I think in the end, that kind of a thing would end up, Mossad and the CIA would be involved. They would be assassinating advocates of things they didn't want. The Central Asian countries that used to be in the USSR would get involved and destabilized. Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan. And there would be a movement to unify them all into like an every stand country that would, be one big thing of comparable size to, Turkey. But then that would be defeated by outside. So there's just no way to do this. It's just not going to happen as long as there is an America.
Oh, wait. Hold on 1 second. Exit. Other people are talking. This is not how the panel works. I will get to.
Sorry. I did not. I just wanted to state the fact a lot of them were.
No. Hold on. We'll get to you. 1 second, please. Respectfully, respect the panel rules. Hublai will finish. Afratko will respond, and then we'll get to you. Exit. Continue, Hublai.
That's my main point. My second sort of issue here is that ultimately Russia and China will not allow a CIA-friendly regime to be on the Caspian Sea. It's too important to their trade and their relationships. You would have a bloody proxy war on all sides, because having the Caspian Sea with the CIA in it is not acceptable to them. It's also, I think, not acceptable to Turkey anymore. So there is no peaceful outcome along these lines, not in the current world situation. If the USA dissolves and completely ceases to exist, then you can start talking about a world where this kind of interference doesn't happen, and when regions can make decisions for themselves.
Afratko, you can go next.
Yeah, I just want to point out that in case of Iran, I think African debunking, he just left. Mossadegh was social democrat, and he actually, in 1952, he was very much pro Arab unity, and he was pro unity of all the countries in the Middle East. He was deposed by the coup orchestrated by the UK and US, okay? So they do not care whether the country is Islamic or socialist or democratic. The country has to be fully enslaved, okay? Pahlavi was very much a slave to the West. He was their puppet in the Iranian land, and he was also quite repressed. Like, he did not allow any communism, socialism, or even like religious. He was not very nice to any of those groups of people. He would his secretary Savag would go around and imprison people and torture them. It was a very brutal regime as well. So, I mean, this entire naivety that it will be better with Pahlavi or democracy, no, unless Iranians are completely enslaved and are slaves to the Western governments, it wouldn't be okay for them in any way.
By the way, the top box is Siama is also Palestinian, so please do gift her, get her to 2K. That will be awesome. I love y'all. Doubly gifters for getting Marwa to 2K. So Aya, do you genuinely think that Iranians would agree with their country being balkanized or fragmented? That's a genuine question, because the way that you kind of framed your argument made it sound as if like a piece of cake, basically, like a cake that everybody would just come in and just cut it up. Do you think that Iranians would even agree to having their country fragmented?
Well, it depends what part of Iran they're from, but that's the thing. Like, if they're Persians, then no, they wouldn't. But, realistically, why should I care about them? The people that would want it to happen would be the Baloch, the Arabs, and the Kurds, and then maybe the Turkmens in the north.
Wait, then what happens to the Persians, though?
What, they can have their own, tiny sliver of land.
Tiny sliver of land, but the majority of land would be taken by neighboring countries.
Well, Kurdistan would be independent. Arabistan's its own country. And then Balochistan, I'd assume they'd want to join up with us or Afghanistan.
Anybody want to respond to that? As I said today, I'm not going to be sharing my opinion as much. It's just, anybody want to respond to that? And if there are any Iranians here who want to respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, Iran is not sectarian. I just want to point it out. I mean, you have Kurds in Tehran as well. They're not sectarian people like Syrians would be. And if we allow this to happen to Iran, it can happen to Pakistan as well next. It can happen to many countries in the Middle East. They are doing it already in Syria. So, I mean, yeah, we can try to advocate for that, but it's a bad idea for any country in the world, especially larger country. Because let's face it, in a majority of countries, there are people who would like to be independent or would like to be in a district or their own little ruling place. So it can happen to Pakistan as well next. They would like to also, some people maybe move to Afghanistan and, join with Afghanistan, So I wouldn't advocate for it in any way, guys.
Just to say as well, I mean, it already sort of happened to Pakistan with India. I mean, I still believe Pakistani people are part of India, while Indian people are part of Pakistani people. You know what I mean? This is already been happening. Like, so yeah, that's crazy. But then I love the question that Kobe asked as well. Like, what do actually Iranian people think about the segregation of their people? Because it hasn't happened so far. So I mean, like, why now? Like, do you know what I mean? Iran's been running for thousands of years, and they've been peaceful, they've been calm. Like, all of a sudden, they're going to get segregated and cut up. Like, is this been, I don't know, is this been stewing over years now? Or
Yeah, but when the Iranian embassy siege happened, and like the people that done it, they were advocates for an Arabistan. So the movements are still there, like, and the Kurds are obviously as well also have an issue with the Iranians. So
Wait, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't Balochistan want to leave Pakistan? So like the last I heard of Balochistan, right? Which Balochistan is kind of like low key, like a region that is similar to like Kurdistan, it's like a region that has been divided up into Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, right? So what I have heard is though that people from Balochistan, from the Pakistan region, they want to leave Pakistan too and create their own country. So what makes you think that if they're wanting to leave, that the people in Iran and Balochistan would want to join them? I'm confused. And also, what makes you think that the West, for example, would allow Pakistan to just annex Iranian land?
first of all, we fund the Sunni proxies within Iranian Balochistan, right? We assist them, and then with the Western world, like, why should we care about what the West thinks? Why can't we do make our own decisions for our own people? And then you said, small elements. It's a low-level insurgency. The insurgency within the Iranian side is far worse than it is within Pakistan. And within Pakistan itself, Baloch people themselves are fighting against the separatists. So it's a lot more of a real thing within Iran.
Wow. Is there anybody who wants to respond to him? Let's. I mean, Ofratko, you commented. Let's go to you. What are your thoughts on what he just said right now? Do you think that the West? Do you think that the West?
Go ahead.
Yeah, let's go down the panel and ask this question. Do you think that the West would even allow this from happening?
No, because the West, again, we are talking about, again, another country there, which is India, and India with Modi and Hindutva hates Pakistan and Muslims, so they're not going to be allowing them any further land. India is quite strong with Israel as well. India is involved with the US as well. So if you're thinking that India is going to allow you to annex anything, maybe try to annex Kashmir first. Okay? Just go and annex Kashmir first and then go to Balochistan or whatever the name of the place is. Sorry.
yeah, that's just
Go on.
Wait,
Sorry.
hold on. Yeah, let's.
That's
So
not
Ofratko, yeah, 1 second, King. Ofratko did address him, so I'll give him the chance to respond, and then I do want to go down the panel to Nico, Hublai, and then King. But yes, continue.
Yeah, so it's a big difference from taking Kashmir from India, right, compared to a smaller state with virtually no armed forces. That is already Sunni, by the way. It's a lot different.
Okay, let's go to Nico. Nico, I don't know if you heard the question. Do you think the West would even allow what Aya is saying, basically?
I don't know actually. And to be honest, I feel like very unqualified to really give an opinion too much on this stuff. I'm just kind of like, I think echoing what a lot of my Iranian friends have said, but I also know that that could be a very kind of distorted, hopeful kind of perspective or voice. So I think it sounds like the panel is far more educated than me on this, on the dynamics.
Fair enough. What about Hublai?
Well, I would caution that, like the Kurd situation, as I understand it, Balochistan is more of a rural, pastoral population, not really concentrated in cities. Last I heard, it was about 3 million people there. I could be wrong. But the problem is that when the West or a neighbor decides, oh, you need freedom and independence, to a pastoral people who has not historically been the majority in their cities or run the infrastructure, you find that city and infrastructure tends to be run by the West. Agreements to put in military bases tend to happen. And look what happened to the Kurds. I mean, they were carved off from Saddam really in about 1990 with a no-fly zone, and over time became incredibly useful instruments to America to break up Syria and to threaten Turkey to the point where it began intervening, and Iran had to intervene also. And essentially, Syria is wrecked now because of this. So I think you cannot just draw a line around an ethnic group that was primarily pastoral and not urban, say you're a people with a country now, and not expect them to be massively exploited from the outside, become a base for attacking settled populations and disrupting everything from the inside for the benefit of the predatory West. So I think it's ridiculously naive. I also agree with Africa that if the US was literally gone out of the Eastern Hemisphere, were gone off the Earth map, that you would see a lot more moderate positions, because the reason that Iran has to have a military council that is so Islamic is because it helps lock out West agents. It helps lock out the CIA. Pan-Arabism failed to do that, and communism was smashed, but Islamic regimes have been able to withstand CIA infiltration, Mossad infiltration fairly well. So that's a defensive situation, and that would ease off quite a bit if they were out of the region. And if they want to assert control in the Western Hemisphere, they should be giving up control in the East.
Okay, thank you. Aya, you can respond if you want. If not, we're gonna go to King. As I just mentioned, right now, the live today is a bit different. I kind of like wanted to do a Smitty style format today, and that I just want to hear people's thoughts on the topic with regards to Iran, if it's a revolution or an attempted coup, because I did see this headline. So that's why I'm trying to discuss this. Noor, Hayati.
Yeah, I just wanted to say as well, Kobe, like really thank you for bringing this up. That was my main question in all of this as well. Does Iran have the opportunity to talk, like we're all talking from different parts of the world about Iran? Does Iran have the opportunity to talk like that, like on a social media point of view as well? But yeah, I mean, I completely kind of agree with what Aya said. Like, I had to think about it, like, with Kashmir situation in India, that's kind of like people in Kashmir, are going a certain way and are going another way. Whereas, like, I'm not sure if Iran is like leaning towards that now, like leaning towards what Aya was saying. So that kind of makes sense to me as well. Like, do you know what I mean? If that's where the country is, kind of like the majority of the country is leading that way, then I don't see the problem with it being sort of split up in that respect as well. I mean, I think it all goes back down to the people who are actually involved, the ground level people. So yeah, it would be really nice to hear from, the ground level.
Let's go to Afratko, and then I do want to hear from Aya again, responding to everybody, and then I'll go to Noor. Afratko.
Yeah, I'm going to just say, like, with up a new goal, Corey, and the rest of the panel. I just checked, because I always do check what is in the area when people went to oil and gas, copper, silver, gold. So yeah, good luck with that. I mean, there is a reason why the two countries are, disputing this area and trying to get more of it. It's a natural resources area. And the same thing with Kashmir. Kashmir has so much beautiful water to actually. The problem with Kashmir, it has lovely underground water, which is very important for Pakistan as well. So Kashmir is very important for that as well.
Aya, what are your thoughts?
Oh, Hubert or Hublai, sorry. He was saying that, Iran has done so well at keeping out the Mossad. But the thing is, like, have they actually done that well when there is Mossad within these protests, right? They're there in the protests. Within, like, the whole pager thing, how well have they actually kept out Mossad from their own systems? And the fact that Israel can, whenever they want, drone strike Iran willy-nilly, like they done with that nuclear physicist guy and others. Like, they've not done a good enough job. That stuff doesn't happen anywhere else but Iran.
Well, okay. I mean, that's a fair question. Each of this type of attack tends to work once, and then all of the holes that get plugged that allowed it to happen. So you lose one nuclear scientist, but don't lose them all. And a color revolution starts in one group of people. It doesn't start in that group of people again because you didn't shut down a certain NGO. So it is a sign of how hard they are trying, that there's at least half a dozen things that you did just list right now that Iran has had done to it by Israel. But you've also got to keep in mind that it's a sheer glass cannon situation. Israel has 80% of its desalination plants' water for Tel Aviv and Jerusalem come from just 8 plants that Iran could destroy in an hour with kinetic missiles. So the reason they don't is probably simply because they fear a nuclear retaliation against Tehran. And essentially, if you have these people out of control of the city of Tehran and it was taken over by CIA forces, maybe they're less interested or care less about the nuke, which would, basically unite what remained of the country against Israel forever. So, like, be very, very careful. Like, the right answer to what you're saying is plug the holes and prevent that type of attack happening again. It's not surrender and let Israel choose your next government and then watch all of your nuclear scientists, all of your medical people, everyone get assassinated, which is what would happen if the CIA took over.
No, I don't want Israel to take over. Like, I think people I'm against them as much as I'm against Iran. They're both, like, filth in my eyes. They both cause massive, issues for Sunnis. So,
would you like them to destroy each other? Is that your idea?
Yeah, mutually assured destruction.
Here's my problem with that. The entire Yinan plan that Israel has establishes the Ashkenazi Jews from Europe at the very top of a racial caste hierarchy, kind of like India, which presumably they don't like. And then it's got these people just under, like the Phalangist Druze and some of the Kurds and the Sunni kings and cronies, rich people in Dubai. That's like a second-class citizen, right, that expects benefits. And then the ordinary Sunnis in the street would be a third-class citizen as long as they obey, they have rights. And that permanently slots the Shia at the very, very bottom, like a Dalit underclass or like black people in America. There's no way that the Houthis or Hezbollah or Iran will ever put up with being permanently slotted into that untouchables position. That's why they fight. So when someone like you speaks up and says, oh, those rotten Shia, they deserve to be exterminated or wiped out in a war or subordinated permanently, all I hear is Zios and Israel.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Nobody needs to be exterminated permanently.
Whoa. I never called for all Shia.
Yeah, let's go to... Wait, hold on. Let's go to Noor, because she has to go, and then after that, we'll go back to Aya.
Can you guys hear me? I have fuck-ass headphones on.
Yes,
I'm at my school.
Yeah,
wow, W me for actually going outside. Okay, so when it comes to Iran, it's a bit of both. Mike Pence has already confirmed agents on the ground, and Mossad confirmed agents on the ground about 3 weeks ago as well. So there are agents on the ground down there. However, this is mostly organic. People have been done with the IRGC for quite a long time. A lot of this started on people. People aren't pushing. So there's some people who are pushing for a regime change. There's some people who pushed for economic change, but a lot of people now have moved from the economic change to a regime change. That being said, fuck the Shah. Like, fuck the Shah. I will die on this hill. Fuck the IRGC too, because, like, fuck a theocracy. And I say this as a Muslim, by the way. So when we talk about Iran, like I would like to remind everyone, it's not just Sunni and Shia, right? Like you have a lot of different ethnic groups. You have the Azadis, you have the Kurds, you have a lot of fucking people in Iran. So the way that we talk about these things, like we really do have to be aware because there's a lot more people than just like Shia or like Israel or like I think people are like not understanding like really the ins and outs, and I don't expect anyone to, because it is a very complex situation. It's like adding multiple languages, adding multiple ethnic groups into a situation and trying to find a government for that. That being said as well, I heard someone talk about Assad and Israel. I need you guys to know that both Iran and Israel are inside of each other's governments. Am I cutting out? Sorry. Or
No,
is
you're
it
not.
is it okay?
It's okay.
Okay,
You're not.
so both Iran and Israel, perfect. They're both inside of each other. So you have to remember that there are hackers within each group. And what these motherfuckers do, okay, they pretend to be Russians. They pretend to be Russians to get into one another's groups. Okay, you have Iranian women who pretend to be Russian women to get into Mossad, and then you have like Israeli men pretending to be Russian to get into Iran. Like that's how they get into each other's ranks, and they have been doing this for since actually even before the 1979 revolution, ever since 1948. That's when they've been doing this shit. So when it comes to that, just be aware. Also, thank you so much for having me, Habibti. I do have to, yeah, the Russians are always false flagged, but I do have to drop, so thank you for having me up.
Thank you for coming up, Hayati. Good luck at class. Yeah, okay, let's go to King. I think you haven't spoken, and then after I do want to go back to Aya, and then I'm going to ask you all a question afterwards.
Yeah, no, I was going to say I completely like agree with what Nuri just said. It's about the people. Do you know what I mean? The people on the ground level. I keep saying that, but like, do you know what I mean? Because obviously I don't understand how people are feeling about certain territories or what's going on in Iran. But then I always think to myself that like Iran's been running as a country without any intervention for thousands of years. Like all of a sudden, like we need to intervene and people need to intervene. I mean, is it really that bad in Iran? Like, really? Like, do you know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm like just live and let live. I mean, India is a perfect example for it as well. Like, there's been a lot of intervention in India, but India still did. Do you know what I mean? They just carry on as usual. They were like, oh well, we just love everyone, like. Like I don't know how people feel about that. Like, but if people have ever been to India, it's not like a racist place or anything. I don't know how people feel about that, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
There's been a lot of like intervention in India as well. To be fair,
I understand. So the question I wanted to ask is, would a Western intervention destabilize the region, or would it stabilize, or foreign intervention in general, would it stabilize the region or would destabilize the region? What are your thoughts? We can go from up to bottom, Aya first, and then everyone else. And then, by the way, let me run another poll. The people in the chat can also participate. If you think it will destabilize the region, write 1. If you think it will stabilize the region, write 2 in the chat. You can participate as well. So let's go from Aya down to King then.
Yeah, so I don't think the West should get involved. Like, I just, they would make the situation a lot more iffy kind of thing.
Wait, then who would militarily intervene then? I'm confused.
What do you mean? Iran's neighbors, mate.
Wait, what country do you think right now could like bomb Iran or like intervene?
Pakistan, bro. We've done it before. We'll do it again, mate. Simple as.
Okay.
And then Turkmenistan as well, because southern Turkmenistan's within Iran, and Kurdistan obviously as well. So I think these regions should get involved. I don't think America needs to put boots on ground or anything like that. That would just make it just a lot more difficult for us to pursue our interests. And it would also destabilize the region a lot more.
Okay. Then let's go to Ofratko, Hublai, and then King.
Judging by the history and its the life they've under sanction, they were managed to build a beautiful country. I do wish, just my personal thing, there's no intervention from anybody, and they can actually gradually go to a different form of power. You have to remember after the last protest, which was the large one, I believe it was 5 years ago, there were some restrictions taken off. For example, in major cities, the hijab is not as mandatory any longer. Women are actually walking around in major cities without hijab, if you've noticed. If you've ever seen any videos from Tehran, it is kind of a bit easier for the women. Not 100%. Again, there must be a different reform, but it's not going to be a bombing or ground invasion. It doesn't work. We can see it in Libya. We can see it in Syria. We can see it in Iran. We can see it in Iraq. We can see it in Afghanistan. It just doesn't work at all. Ever. Thank you.
Thank you. Hublai, and then King.
Well, I think it's always a red herring and very sus to talk about the hijab because that was subjected to public referendum in Iran a couple of times. It almost was defeated completely last time. If that's your issue, then you definitely want peaceful organizing and mind changing in the country. You do not want foreign intervention over that. That's already a democratically settled issue. So personally, I would be happier to see something that affects only women, like hijab or abortion law, voted on only by women. But, we don't even have that in the West, so we have no right to impose that kind of logic. So I would say that we do have intervening parties in Iran, and the intervening parties are China, Russia, and now Turkey have taken pretty strong positions in favor of stabilizing Iran. Presumably they're there saying, well, maybe this policy or that policy is weird or problematic or, just inhibiting you from your development growth. So why don't you change it? It also will take away some ammo from the West, like the easing on the hijab restrictions and so on. So when the world's most successful country, China, ahead in 66 out of 74 strategic technologies that got 600 to 800 million people out of poverty in the last 40 years, is already just built a railway to you. I think that's your stabilization partner and not anybody from the West. So the problem that Mossad and the CIA and MI6 have is that they don't give a damn about those people or their development. They just want to turn them back into a proxy with a government friendly to Israel and implement Israel's wreck the whole Mideast plan and keep the place in chaos so they can loot it for another 50 years. If you fall for that, you're really completely insane, and you should be unalived with the people that they're unaliving now in Iran.
King, wait, hold on. We'll go to King, and then we'll go to Azadi afterwards. Please, King, continue.
Nobody needs to get unalived, first and foremost. Nobody genuinely needs to get unalived. Let's get over that. I mean, I kind of look at it as like the world is like, you need to have these different cultures. So like, do you know what I mean? Like if I go on holiday, for example, to Iran, like I want to experience their culture. I want to experience the Persian culture. I want to experience the Middle Eastern culture in comparison to like Indian culture and like the UK. Like I predominantly being brought up in the UK. So if I go on holiday to these places, I want a culture there. I don't want everything to look the same. I don't want it to look the same, like, to be honest, So that's kind of that's kind of what I'm trying to get at as well, so nobody needs to get unalived. It's just like, and where I always saying as well, like people may need to be segregated, and then people are saying like, well, and then I'm like, all right, great. Like, do you know what I mean? As long as I can go on holiday to these places and have a good time, and just get to learn the culture and more importantly, eat the food, meet the people, because that's what the world is all about, right? Right?
May I?
Yeah, let's go to Azadi for now.
Kavi, don't you think that was I'm sorry, King. You might be a good person, but what you just said was a disgusting remark that you don't care that there is currently gender segregation.
Wait, me? Did you say Covey?
No,
he said
King.
Oh, okay. I was shocked 'cause I didn't speak.
No,
Okay,
No,
that
I
okay.
was
do care.
pure
I
Orientalism.
said I
That
do
was
care.
pure Orientalism. That was pure admitting you don't care about the agency of brown people. They just have to accept this, you know. You're talking about you don't want people being unalived. Like, what do you think is happening in Iran right now? What do you
No, I
think is
understand
happening
that.
to
Like,
people who are
I mean,
being unalived right now?
Wait, hold on,
I
King. Hold
that's
on.
due
Wait,
to
hold on.
That
people.
was
King.
That's
Wait, hold
disgusting.
on.
sorry, bro.
Hold on.
That's got
Wait,
nothing to do with
King. Wait, one second. King. I don't
I'm
like.
not like
Wait,
people.
King. 1 second. I'm gonna mute you. I'm so sorry. I don't like interrupting. Okay. So, Azadi, please, can you say who exactly you are addressing, and then you can finish what you wanted to say, because I don't like interrupting. Everybody gets a fair chance, but please stop interrupting people. So, Azadi, who were you addressing, and please then finish your statement.
I think I made my point. I was addressing King with his whole Orientalism shtick, justifying what's happening. He wants to see oppressed people and gender apartheid and people who are suffering and poor so he can have a nice holiday in Iran and elsewhere. Fuck.
Okay. Let's not. Okay, hold on 1 second. Let us not use insults, please. You can. I'll allow you, the panel, to express yourself, but you don't have to use insults, please. Don't be disrespectful.
I'd like to
King.
respond.
Wait. Hold on 1 second. Let's let Azadi finish their response, and then you can respond to them.
I'm done.
Azadi, please.
I'm done. I'd love to hear whether what that guy just said was pure Orientalism, pure dehumanization of independent people with brains and feelings and lived experiences of gender apartheid in Iran. Ask an Iranian woman which has grown there, what is it like to be a woman, King, beautiful holiday destination. Let's give this regime money, right? Iranians have a beautiful culture, you're right. And they do have that in the West when they're active participants of democracy and secularism. They are proud Iranians. And you are okay with what's going on. I'm down.
Okay, wait, Azadi, if I may ask before we go to King.
Can I talk now?
Yeah, no, I will let you. I will let you respond.
Like, obviously, you just call me a prick.
Wait,
I'm
1
sorry to
second,
call
and
you out.
wait, hold on, 1 second. I'm so sorry.
I'm
Please.
due an explanation.
Wait,
I'm
hold
sorry,
on.
I'm due an explanation.
Hold on. You will be given
Like,
this.
I did not say. I
Wait,
want
King.
anyone
Oh my
unalive.
God. I don't know if I'm screaming on my own panel. I don't like to scream. King, I will allow you the space to respond. I promise. Okay. I just wanted to ask Azadi one question. Azadi, are you Iranian?
I don't want to participate in identity politics.
No, it's not about identity. I'm just asking.
I don't want to.
Okay.
This is a live about Iranian lives, right? People who are.
No. I was just interested in finding out. That's all. It's not identity politics. King, you can respond to Azadi.
Hello? Yeah, thank you. Wow, nobody said anything about, like, do you know what I mean? Like, the, like, using people's cultures for a holiday, like tourism and abusing them. Like, well, what do you mean? What do you think I do when we go on holiday? Like, what I meant by that was, like, go out of my circle and see the world, like, see your world, like, see everyone else's world, man. Like, what are you even talking about? Is that like, do you know what I mean? Like, I understand there's a lot of things going on in, like, in your region of the world. There's a lot of things going on in India's region of the world. There's a lot of things going on in Britain's region of the world, bro. And there's a lot of things going on just in my local corner of the world. But, like, what I'm trying to say is that I don't want to see anyone get unalived. I really don't. And secondly, when I said by holiday, I meant everyone should go. Of course, we should go on holiday. You should come to holiday to India. Like, why were you offended by that? And why did you call me a prick, bro? Like, when I'm trying to explain to you that, like, I don't want anybody unalived. I don't want anyone in Iran. I don't give a fuck what you believe in. Like, why you're like Sunni or Shia. I don't understand it, but I don't care about it. Like, because I know you guys make good food. Like, the only thing I do care about is that you guys make good food and you're good people. and like, do you know what I mean? I can talk to you people, like, do you know what I mean? Like people getting unalived, bro. Like, of course, like when the atrocities come to the grand scheme of everything, the atrocities come to light. Then yes, I am going to be like, no, I'm not. I don't agree with that's what's happening. But then, do I have any control of that? Is what I'm trying to get at as well. And like, more importantly, why were you so offended about the holiday thing? Like, I don't understand that. Like, the world is an oyster for everyone. You should be able to travel to my country. My country should be able to travel to yours. And we have a good time. Everyone has a good time. Like, the first thing I learned was like hospitality. Like, do you know what I mean? The guest is God. Do you know what I mean? Like, my culture believes that, like, you're a guest in my country, you're a God in my country, you will have a good time, And like, why is that such a big deal, bro? Like, why is that such a big deal? Like, why did you go, like, I don't know, man. That kind of offended me, bro. But like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to be peaceful and stuff as well. So, like, I'm not offended. I'm not really offended.
So I just want to lay down the parameters for this live. Please. I don't want any personal insults. You can express your opinion. I'm not going to tell a person not to get angry. But please, no personal insults. Azadi, if you want, you can respond to what King said.
Yeah, I do. Look, I do apologize, King. You said you said a lot of nice things, and I appreciate that. I think we need to be nicer to people, but I hope you understand that it is an active war zone in there. People are risking their lives for freedom. Let's not forget that. And it's really insensitive to say that you kind of accept the status quo and that you were willing to go to a holiday ran by this type of regime because it promotes this culture. Like, it's like you saying you want to go to Kabul, Afghanistan, and experience the Afghani culture of literally witnessing gender segregation at work, or like to Sudan where people are, or Gaza. Like, do you understand where I'm coming from? It's very insensitive.
No, I do get that, bro. Like, I do, and I don't agree with like gender segregation. But then what I do agree with is the countries have their own culture. Like, and I haven't got any right. Like, I just want to experience their culture. So I'm not trying to say that like people are doing the right and the wrong. Like, that's for you guys to decide, man. Like, and I'll be happy to help. Like, when it comes to this kind of thing, like gender segregation and like whatever, like, do you know what I mean? Without anything to do with like anything but to do with anyone getting alive, like, do you know what I mean? I think there's a better option. People can work it out. People can have a good time, eat some food together. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of the point I was trying to bring across. Like, I didn't mean like just go into a war zone and start going, yeah, look, people are getting murdered. This is crazy, man. Like, this is a great holiday in Afghanistan. Like, I meant like actually Afghani people cooking me some food, and Afghani food is the best food in the world. Like I feel personally, do you know what I mean? They cook the best, like, they call it karaya. I don't know what they call it in, like, I don't wanna overstep it, but they cook the best food in the world, man. And like, do you know what I mean? So
Okay.
that's kind of what I meant.
Yeah, King. I think talking about food too much. You're making a lot of people very hungry in the middle of the night. So just wanted to say that. But is there anybody else who wants to respond to
Me.
whatever this was? Okay, Aya. You're a person who said that you wanted to fragment Iran. So what do you think about everything right now? And has your opinion changed a bit? Or are you still on that opinion? And then I want to go to Ofratko afterwards. And also, while we're at it, Shuruk is from Gaza, by the way. So can we get them to 2K? We're almost at 2K, and then I'll let up somebody else. But continue, Aya.
Bro, I don't get why this Azadi guy, Azad, is crying so much about the way like people are treated in Iran. Like, it's getting grip. And it's kind of based as well what they're doing in Iran from the IRCG. Like, bro, when brown people step out of line, you do need a dictatorship to push them back into line. Like, I don't blame him. Do you know what I mean? This guy's like some washed guy.
Yeah.
Daddy, if you want to respond, you can respond. You're on mute, Azadi.
truth.
How do you respond to this? Like, I don't know. You just hate brown people, right? You just hate people who don't look like you. That's it, right? You just don't want to see people as humans that want to have a nice environment around them, be safe, be able to afford a car, a house, whatever. You just don't care, right? It's just you and the British and the white people, right? That's it.
So Azadi, wait, hold on one second. Azadi, to give you a perspective, Aya is Pakistani, and he believes that the neighboring countries need to basically divide up Iran, and that Pakistan needs to take Balochistan, right? So that's where he's coming from, by the way.
Oh, so he's like an imperialist, fascist. That's what you are, yeah.
I am. Yeah, I'm a fascist. Yeah.
Beautiful. And could I ask, do you support Gaza, like Palestine?
Yeah.
Wow. So there's a contradiction there, right? Fascism.
How?
Does Israel not enact imperialistic policy on the Palestinian people? And imperialism is pretty tied to fascism.
Okay, but those imperial interests aren't in my. Their imperialism is against my own interests. Why would I support people just because we have the same ideology? Doesn't mean that I have to support them when their decisions go against mine.
So you're just selfish. That's it.
Yeah, I look out for my own. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And their Sunnis
Pakistan.
as well.
You look out for Pakistan, right?
Yeah, and Sunnis.
Have you been to Pakistan on a holiday? Have you been on holiday in Pakistan?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have, right? I know what Pakistan's like. I know the goats and the trash piles and the horrible.
Okay. Yeah.
This guy's crying.
You can. Okay. Oh Lord.
Yeah, let's bring it.
Listen. One second. I am trying to allow open conversation to happen, but that does not mean that my panel is just a free for all for bigotry. Okay, you can respond. I will not tone police everything, but I just wanted to say that. So let's just go to Ofratko, and then after that we'll go to Sufyan, and then we'll go to the top box. While we're at it, Shuruk is almost at 2K. That would be awesome. But yeah, continue, Ofratko.
Issue with when talking about women in Iran. Women in Iran are extremely educated and strong, just to be aware of that. Yes, there's segregation, and I'm hoping they're going to be able to get more rights in the future, but my issue with Western, like I'm white, by the way, just in case, Azazi, I think I'm only white person on this panel, which is kind of, so as a white person, I have to say, I would go first to talk about Saudi Arabia, where the women's rights are way worse, and or even like UAE, if you go to UAE, the rights of, for example, foreign workers are extremely bad there. Yet I do not see our Western governments going there and trying to bring freedom to the women there. So that's my issue. Why are we not talking about Saudi Arabia and attacking them? Why are we giving them all the weapons? Why are we all going there and trying to make business with them? And Saudi Arabia has a huge businesses everywhere in the Europe and the USA. Yeah, UAE is hell, guys. I mean, UAE is literally hell. For any foreign worker in the UAE, especially if you are like from Pakistan or Bangladesh or any of those countries in Africa, you are treated like a slave. So nobody's talking about that. Everybody wants to go to Iran to save the women and talking about them like they're having no agency. Iranian women, again, are extremely educated. I'm not sure if you've met any Iranian women in your life, guys, but I have. They're extremely educated women and they're inspirational. Okay, anyway, guys, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go to Sufyan. And then after that, let's go to Sahand. Yeah, continue. And by the way, thank you guys for all the gifters. I appreciate you so very much for being generous. Top box is Inas is in Gaza as well. So just keep getting them to 2K. I'll drop them and I'll bring up more Gazans. As per usual, you guys already know the gist. I always bring up Gazans and then you guys get them to 2K. So let's go to Sufyan and then Sahand. And then I want to go back to Azadi as well to get their opinion.
Oh, hi. I'm sorry, something came up. Can I have a point next? I'm like a little bit busy with something.
Okay, then we'll go to Sahand. What are your thoughts, opening statements for this topic? And also, if you want to comment on what was said before that, you can comment as well.
Thank you. Well, I suppose just to comment very briefly on what Aya said, I think Aya should focus most of his energy on creating a politically stable environment within Pakistan before talking about Pakistan annexing any other territory. It's like a rite of passage in Pakistan when you become a political leader to either suffer from revolt or execution by the hands of your own people. Going towards Iran, I'll just piggyback off of what Hublai said a little while ago. When the previous revolution happened, I think the people of Iran had a choice to make when creating a new system of governance. They could either be influenced by the West or the East, and I'm still talking in the sense of Europe. The communists were not very nice to folks who were religious, and the West was supporting a dictator who did oppress political opinions within his own country. So they went with what they knew best for the most part, religion, and the theocracy was formed, unfortunately. So, with that historical context, it's very easy to understand why Iranians inside and outside of Iran are hesitant to see any kind of support from the West or intervention from the West, because this is going to be what, the second, third, fourth, fifth time there's some kind of foreign interference with Iranian politics. When is it going to be the charm? Because it wasn't the third time. So, but at the same time, from my own personal, within my own personal opinion, I would be very pleased to see the current regime punished by some kind of force, whether it's American or not, for taking to violence anytime, at least within recent history, that the people wanted to demonstrate um, uh, against the policies that have kind of really hindered their way of life. I should land the plane there.
If I may ask, are you Iranian? If you don't want to answer, that's perfectly
Yeah, I am. I was born in Iran.
Okay, and what are your thoughts on? Would you support a military intervention from the West or from any other country, or do you want Iranians to deal with the issue themselves?
Something similar to the strikes that we saw during the 12-day war, I would support.
You would support? Wait, sorry, you cut out for me. You would support what?
Something similar to the strikes that we saw during the 12-day war recently.
Okay, so you would support an outside intervention. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And one more question. Sorry, who would you want to replace the Iranian regime? By the way,
I don't know, but not this Pahlavi guy in America. I think one of the reasons some people are clinging on to this Pahlavi guy, sorry, the prince, I'll call him, the prince that lives, is because there may be thinking about history and how Khomeini was flown back from France into Iran and took power. What they don't understand there, if that's the kind of comparison they're making, is that Khomeini was already a political activist in Iran. He was born in Iran. He lived in Iran. He got exiled by the Shah in Iran because of his political activism, partly. So he had a lot of political connections when he went back to Iran. There was some kind of legitimacy or network there he could rely on to establish a new system of governance. The current prince apparently doesn't have any of those things. He wouldn't really be a qualified candidate. And besides, not the last time, but back in the 2010s when the people were protesting against the government, when the green quote unquote revolution was going on or the protests were going on, it's because there was a very, very popular reformist that lost an election. And people were accusing the government of unfair election practices. So there are reformists within Iran, and there definitely are people in Iran who understand and are very educated in ways that a new government could be established. I just think the issue here is nobody wants to really stand up and speak out because they'll face execution. I think that the will and the knowledge exists within Iran for them to figure it out. We don't need to import anybody else in there.
Okay, fair enough. By the way, if you are Iranian, or if you're not Iranian and you support also a foreign military intervention, type 1 in the chat if you are for military intervention. then type 1 in the chat. I am trying to look also for more diverse voices. As I just said, for today, I'm only moderating. I'm not going to express my opinion on this. I'm going to type 1 in the chat. And then if you want to express your opinion, request, and I'll bring you up on the panel to express your opinion. Thank you very much. Afratka, could you raise your hand? Or Sufyan, yes, Sufyan.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, I was just gonna. Sorry, go on.
But it's weird to listen to hear. What's the IAKM? Where are you a foreign born? Like you live abroad? Like you don't live in Pakistan, right?
Nah.
All right. Okay. I can give a little bit of a like I can understand why you would say a statement that's so weird. I completely disagree. I don't believe in military intervention. In fact, militarism within our region, as a response to Western imperialism, has done nothing but create a force that has, what I would say, has been able to suppress the voices of the people, has empowered cronyism, and has mitigated real growth in the region. And that's because a lot of the times, the only way you would be able to, in places like Pakistan, and the weird thing is like this idea of fracturing and taking Balochistan. The Baloch don't want to be with you. There is separatist movements because you know why? Baloch people get disappeared. Like that's straight up what happens. There are people in Islamabad. I don't know if they're there now because I left in 2024. But in Islamabad, there is a camp people who are doing a sit-in protest, um, saying like, "Hey, return our missing people, or at least tell us what happened to them." Those are Baloch. Those are the people. Those are people from Balochistan. And then what ends up happening is whenever those cries are ignored, then you have individuals who start becoming secessionists. Now, I'm not a person who believes in secession because secessionists are used as tools by other powers, whether that be opposing forces within India. Iran has some connections to them as well. Uh, uh, with what's it called? The United States has was the original funder for a lot of these individuals, and residually, since they've had a lot of weapons, they just have a lot left over. So the cycle of military intervention within the region is a result of like the U.S.'s intervention, as well as the militarism that reigned in the region. People were okay with this type of militarism because they were getting money. They were getting bags of cash, literal bags of cash, and all they had to do was, hey, you get 5 bags of cash, give 4 to this warlord over here, because that would be enough money for them to sustain resistance movements. And that ended up biting Pakistan in the ass. Let me paint here by saying military interventionism by the West causes no actual gain for any people whatsoever. In fact, all it does is it creates a spiral. What needs to happen is that the people of Iran need to be allowed to protest and to create enough civil disobedience that this regime bends on its knee and says we are going to reform. And it'll be more reformation to the point where it'll be that they will lose enough leverage where the people will be able to then decide, do we want to keep this? If they decide to not keep this, then that is their decision. If they decide to keep it, that is their decision. There's a reason why in Afghanistan the what's it called? Their government is the people that were there in the 90s. I mean, most of it's the people, the sons of people, or people who joined their ranks afterwards. Because you know what, all their opportunities were eviscerated. If you did not live in the main center, the main urban centers, you did not gain anything from military interventionism. Really, nothing. If you were not a rich, what's it called, part of the rich public government, you were not getting any benefit. Like that's what it is. It's like people who look at this fail to look at
Yeah.
history, fail to look at the actors at play.
Okay. Thank you, Sufyan. I want to give King and Hublai a final statement before I switch out because they have been here the longest, and there are some people who want to come up in the guest request. So, King, you can say your ending statement here, and then Hublai your ending statement, and I'll switch you guys out. Let's go with King first.
Yeah, I was gonna say, guys, I was gonna let's get some more people up there. I'm sorry, like I said, I'm uneducated in what's happening around those areas as well. So it's nice to hear everyone else. But yeah, no, thank you for having me on, though, and thank you, Kobe, for a cool life, man. Cool life.
Appreciate you. Thank you, King. Hublai, what was your ending statement?
Well, I agree with Sufyan there, just spoke. The history of the region suggests very strongly that no good outcome can come out of anything whose timing or whose impetus or whose players are determined by the West or certainly by Israel. Their intentions are well advertised. It's called the Yinan Plan. I would encourage people to look at it. It would not be the people of the region deciding who dissociates with who. The way it typically works in that region is when the Americans can't get their bases or their will in, they will start to stir up separatist movements and breakaways so that they can, which is what they did with the Kurds in Iraq. They were locked out of the region. They made a deal with the Kurds. They put themselves right in the middle of the region again. And that has only ever resulted in mayhem and horror for people of the region. So Sahand is absolutely wrong to advocate something like an intervention like the 12-Day War the Americans had. Iran's threat right now is the only thing inhibiting Israel from being even worse to the West Bank and worse to Gaza. They know that Iran can hit them with a missile fire at any time. If that threat is removed, Israel will be rapacious and horrific to a degree you can't even imagine to this date. So to me, that's deeply unethical what Sahan said. It's worse than anything anyone else said. I disagree with Azza there about, freedom. I think anytime you say, oh, freedom, you're basically a criminal advocating for freedom for yourself, looting. Like, I realize that's close to a personal insult, but I have complete contempt for that kind of rhetoric, and it's always been exactly what the CIA has used, and it's what the Pahlavists use, and there just is no good outcome from that intervention. Again, I'm going to say that BRICS and China and Russia can economically work with Iran to make people's lives better, but they have to remain a threat to Israel just to contain Israel. And I agree with the assessment that historically Persia or Turkey or Egypt has been able to play a major role in stabilizing the area, but none of that happens while the West is there. I want the US and the UK out. That's the top priority. Until the US and the UK are out and unable to ever intervene in the region ever again, you won't see anything like peace. So that's
Okay.
close.
Perfect. Thank you, Hublai. Thank you for coming up. As per usual, you guys are always welcome. Let's go to Azadi wanted to speak, and then after that, Ofratko, and then we're going to go to the new guests afterwards. But Azadi, you want to say something?
Yes, thank you, Kovi. I think it's important to remember that the Islamic regime has existed for 47 years, that it is a smear on the history of Iran, that Iran has a fascinating and very ancient history, which it defines what it is. The culture which is cultivated from that very long time, it defines what it is. And I think it's disgusting that people are yelling for freedom in the streets, and this guy's saying that this is a CIA operation. It's the Mossad, right? Hasbara, beautiful. Everything but acknowledging that people are suffering. And yeah.
Azadi, when you're on the panel, by the way, I just wanted to clarify, everybody on the panel, ignore the chat. Just address the panelists, please. So ignore the chat. Mm-hmm.
And what was his name? Sahand. I mean, you must know what democracy, what referendums look like in Iran. Where your voice gets you, it doesn't get you far. We know that the regime unalived thousands of liberals, of feminists, of communists because they were ideologically opposed. The regime was a counter-revolution, the same way as how the Pahlavis are a counter-revolution. They're opposing figure because, as you acknowledge, The intellectuals who rise up in Iran get unalived or they're in prison right now, starving, most likely. What's it called? In Tehran, the notorious prison with thousands of Evin prison, exactly. Thousands of political prisoners, thousands of bodies that passed away there. So the Pahlavi image is an image of Iran for many Iranians around this world and within Iran. It represents an Iran which is great, which is a proud Iran of its nation and its culture, respects its many languages and ethnicities and religions. And at the point of Western intervention, look, Iran looks at its history, it sees Saudi Arabia, it sees Qatar, Kuwait, it sees all these nations with people like I out of principle condemn their regimes and dictatorships in the Khaliji states, but they provide for their people a phenomenal way of living. And you must know Iranians go to Dubai all the time. They see that and they're like, wow, American allies really got it great. They're living a life which they didn't live 60 years ago. I don't want to offend them, but 60 years ago was an entirely different country. And on the point of Western intervention, it's factually wrong that it has not helped people out there. It has caused a lot of harm, obviously. It's much larger list, but it has helped people. And people just want freedom, man. That's it. It's crazy that that's a disgusting, traitorous word that should give you prison, according to that guy.
So before we go to Afratko, by the way, I just wanted to say thank you so much to all the gifters. My 30% is off, by the way. Just wanted to say thank you so much. Like, you guys have helped so many people already. So doubly gifters to that. We'll get Nahad to 2K. Mo, by the way, is also in Gaza. He came up here to share his opinion, but you guys can also get him to 2K because he is in Gaza right now, right? So let's go to Afratko first. And then after that, we'll go to Mo, Bite, and then it will be more an open panel.
Any chance I could? Okay.
Yes, of course. I'll get you in after Afratko.
Thank you.
Question for Sahand. Anyway, you were saying that you do like the 12-day war. The problem I have is over 1,200 people are unalived in that war. Many of them were civilians. I wouldn't call it war; it was war crime. The problem I have with this, isn't it maybe easier to talk or to try to pressure the government there to be more liberal, to do some reforms with lessening the sanctions, because the sanctions are killing mostly the civilians. I mean, the government is still strong, they're still rich. The civilians, the people of Iran are the ones suffering the most. As soon as I know, it's like, 40% inflation and the prices are up 70%. I mean, I have no idea how the people survive there. So maybe we should try something else than constantly attacking them, because the last time it was like the rally around the flag, as I remember in Iran, people actually did support the regime more, which was kind of shocking for many people. Sorry, you can respond.
I understand. May I respond, Kobe? Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, yes, of course.
Yeah, just very quickly to kind of touch on what Azadi said a second ago. To have somebody else come in to Iran with a plane ticket, whether it be from Europe or from America, to establish a new government, is going to be repeating the same mistake that the new system of government would be plagued with accusations of being a foreign plant, the same way the Shah was accused of it, and the same way Khomeini has been accused of it more recently. Again, the Iranians are very proud people. They're highly educated. They can figure out on their own. They don't need somebody to be imported into the country. That's another form of foreign intervention that gets very sticky, and I wouldn't personally really support. The 12-day war, obviously, anytime there's any kind of war, it is a tragedy. But one of the reasons I didn't get too involved, at least on TikTok debates, when the question of the war between Israel and the Palestinians was raging, was because I didn't really have any kind of alternative solution. Anytime people ask me what should Israel do instead, really what I wanted to say is instead of going after all these people who live within the Gaza Strip, go after the people who are calling the shots. They don't even live within Gaza half the time. Uh, uh, and people told me that would be ridiculous because they can't go and violate Qatari airspace or whatever. In the end, we found out that they never really had any reservations about going after the people at the top. They eventually did because they knew they should, but they left it for last because that's not really their objective, not from my opinion. I think they just want to do a land grab there. Bringing this over to Iran, I very much did appreciate that they primarily went after the people who call the shots in Iran. What worries me is that there's another strike within Iran, many more civilians would pass away because they may broaden their scope and try and attack military infrastructure within the cities where, for example, IRGC barracks are. And they're not all IRGC people, and those are densely populated areas. But if they go after the tip of the spear or try and cut the head of the snake, I would much prefer that. Ultimately, my position is, and I don't really even disagree with Hublai. I understand where he's coming from. But my position is that if no one punishes this regime for resorting to violence anytime the people try and exercise some kind of democratic freedoms that we aspire to have in the West, nothing changes. Nothing changes. They will resort to violence and eventually people will submit. And this will carry on for another 100 years. Someone needs to punish them for resorting to violence. And eventually, hopefully, they stop doing so and the people can actually organize formally and speak up formally. People want democracy in Iran. They've wanted democracy in that for a very long time, even back during the Shah's father's time. So it's not like it doesn't exist and it doesn't need to be imported. The people have the capability and the willingness to do it. They just don't want to be murdered for it. And that's what this regime does best.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to Mo and then Bite, and then I do want to go back to Aya KM because he hasn't said anything. But yes, Mo.
Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. Thanks for having me, Coffee. Okay, thank you for having me. Just wanted to say real quick in 2 points. Because I'm Palestinian, I want to address the Palestinian, how Iran stood with Palestinians throughout the years, and then I'm gonna talk about another point. So first of all, Iranian politically, they since 1979, since the beginning of the revolution, they never like admitted of Israel. They never admitted Israel, and they also had the Palestinian cause as a main title in their statements, in their news, in their everything. And also they've been a huge support from the Iranians to the resistance here in Gaza, for the H group, for the other speeches here in Gaza, financially supporting, in training, and in many other stuff. Also, I wanted to also say that this is my second point. I'm sorry, my English isn't good, and I have
No,
I want
Mo.
to say
Your
everything
English
in one time. Sorry.
Your English
So the
is
second point
perfect. Don't
is,
worry.
thank you. I want to address the point, and I want to make this really clear. We need to differentiate between the government and the people. We can't just judge a whole country by its government. For example, we have the people who are victims in here. They're suffering and they're going out in the streets and they're being unalive. They're being prisoned. They're suffering. They're going out not just for nonsense. They have reasons. They're suffering. They have no payments. They have no health care, like in basic needs. They need basic needs, and now they're being prisoned, unalived in a very bad way. And we're seeing this in many other countries, unfortunately. And that's why we need to be more aware of what's happening. And I also wanted to say that the Iranian statement with Palestine isn't just for Palestine, because they've always was against the U.S. Authorities, the U.S. domination around the world, which they are like blindfolded around the fact that other countries has their own rights, their own people who can talk. And Iranian people has, as you said previously, engineers, doctors, people who are very well educated out there suffering among people. And I think what's happening is a very sad fact, and we need to spread more awareness as you're doing in here. And I'm always glad I'm here, admired of the efforts you're doing, and how much this panel is just did up, how much awareness we have in here. And just want to say that thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Mo. I
much.
appreciate you. Shukran. You did great, by the way, and your English is also perfect. Please don't ever apologize for that. Your English is genuinely good. Let's go to bite-sized Dean, and then we'll go down to Aya, who has been quiet for a while.
Hello, hi guys. I just want to start with the Pakistani guy talking about taking Iran, blah blah blah. The Pakistani government cannot handle their own country, a nuclear power country that cannot feed their own population. They rely on the US. They do absolutely nothing for their country except taking more and more debt from other countries. I don't think Pakistan is able to handle a country unless they change their entire military dictatorship. So don't bring about Pakistan taking one part. There are Pathan that are fighting for freedom. There are Baloch that are fighting for freedom. They don't want to be with Pakistan. If you want, you can focus on that. That's another issue that needs to be addressed. Yeah, when it comes to Iranian, the Iranian have a problem. They have a problem. They don't like the Khomeini dictatorship and the Khamenei, that is continuing the same system. They don't like it. It is normal. They are free to criticize their own country and do everything. However, when we look at the problem in Iran, the sanctions, and from the beginning, when the Western countries decided to remove Mohammad Mossadegh, they removed him and put the Shah. When the Shah was not doing anything, they facilitated everything for Khomeini, to be safe, to have his own band everywhere, and to even go and stay in Paris when he was chased away by the Shah. They facilitated everything for him to come back and take power. When he took power, they supported him during the war. They worked a little bit with the Americans. They worked with the French. They supported him until they realized that they are anti-Israel. And then they went back again going against them. During the Iraq-Iran war, they funded both sides, to make them fight, They showed that side there with them. They showed the other side there with them. They wanted the two countries to destroy themselves so that they can go and rule these places. All they wanted, since they removed Mohammad Mossadegh, was to take power and take control of the land. They don't care about the Iranian. The Iranian people are smart enough to get rid of the current government system. What they should do is to help an Iranian that has lived in Iran know everything. A great opposition to go outside of Iran as a refugee, as a political refugee, stay there, and they can continue with the protest. The people will know that that person who is outside does not want the foreign countries to come and control Iran. He wants the freedom for Iran, just like they did for Khomeini. They can do that for that person if they want. But what they are doing, they are taking that person that has been living a luxurious life. His father was put in power by the American. The people who are supporting that person, they even forget that Mohammed Reza was himself a Muslim, although he was a bad Muslim, but he was a Muslim. He stood with the Shia of Lebanon. He stood with the Shia of Iraq. He stood with certain mullah in Iran that was working for him. He was not the way they are looking at him and saying, "Oh, Islam out of Iran, blah blah blah." No, he was not that type of person. He was a Muslim. To this day, if I'm not mistaken, his wife is still reading the Quran to his grave, right? So, what for me, I heard someone say about the 12-day intervention, blah blah blah. I mean, it can sound good for other people, just like it sounded good for the Libyan, it sounded good for the Iraqi, it sounded good for many other people. But in reality, I'm gonna tell you, the US don't care about Iranian people. Iranian women, although they are persecuted, are the most educated group of women in the entire world. There is no country that has more educated women per capita than like Iran. That is not to support the regime. The regime, I don't care about them. But when they tell you, "Oh, we are coming for freedom, oh, we are coming for this," you are the one who stopped everything from going to Iran. You are the one who created the problem from the time you remove Muhammad Mossadegh. All right. So I don't believe the U.S., NATO can do anything for the Iranian people. I heard someone saying, not to be long. I heard someone saying about the Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi, who are rich. These people started working with the US from the early age. They did not oppose the US. They gave the US everything they wanted. You come, we work together, we give you everything you want, you help us develop our country. This is what happened. Mossadegh in the other hand in Iran did not like that. He wanted to have everything to be controlled by the Iranian. That's why he was removed. The same thing is happening in Venezuela. Same thing happened in Libya. Same thing happened in Iraq. Guys, I can keep speaking until tomorrow, but that's just where I'm gonna stop.
Aya, and then Azadi, you can go next. By the way, Nahil is also in Gaza. So get them to 2K. That would genuinely. But up until now, the gifters have been amazing. You guys. So let's go to Aya and then Azadi.
Yeah, so a lot of people, in particular, have been machine gunning points about, not machine, but been mentioning Balochistan. And so Sufyan was mentioning how these Balochis, they just disappear, and fails to mention how every single time they disappear, right, one of these same disappeared Balochis are always, taking parts in attacks. And we know this from when they get unalived.
Let's not do the bigotry. It's actually crazy. I don't know why you have to mention the fact that they might be Afghan or not. I don't know why Afghanis are catching strays. Bite size is not Afghan. He's African. So strays.
So wait. So in Africa, he's talking about my government.
Hold on. Let's go to
Azadi. Can I ask a question to Aya before you just go through?
Okay, make it very brief. Yes.
Are you is your ethnicity within the country of Pakistan? Like,
bro, I'm Pashtun.
Pashtun?
Say that again.
Yeah, Khudaya.
Bro, I'm whitewashed, bro. I don't speak any Urdu, any of that, geez. So like, yeah, I know Assalamu alaikum and Allah Hafiz, that's it, G.
Okay. Wow. Then let's go to Azadi, and then if you want, bite size, you can respond to what Aya just said, but Azadi first.
Yeah, Aya's a interesting fella. Bite, I mean, it was great what you were saying, but I don't know. I have like a different vision of the past. I think that 79, the US and Israel were made the enemies of the state of the new Islamic regime. I don't think that I do know that the US and foreign powers have colonized Iran, not fully, but they have conquered it. The British, the Russians, they have interfered in Iran's internal policy for the past 150 years. But I do think that it was also a different time of US interventionism, especially under Kissinger. I hope right now it'll be different. I at this point I just want freedom for them, and the Iranians want this as well. They're calling for it, they're screaming for it, and of course we have to be diligent here. But as Sahan said, I do support strategic strikes on like essential military facilities. Iranians I don't think that they see a future with this regime. I don't think that they see a reform possible with this regime, because I think it was Ofratko who was saying the reformists have literally been disappointing Iranians forever, since their entire existence. They've always just been the same Islamic Republic ideologists. That's why I support Western intervention or foreign intervention.
Okay, thank you very much. Bite size, if you want to respond to Aya, you can respond to Aya. If not, I do want to go to the new guest, Kim, afterwards.
I just wanted to say why he's attacking Afghans. He doesn't even know where am I from. He could have asked, and I would have answered with my ethnicity and everything. And he just went and attacked the Afghan. You know, attacking the Afghan people who are majority Pashtun is attacking his own people. You know, I don't understand why he's doing that. Me, I'm not gonna attack my own people, whether they are in Libya, whether they are in Algeria, in Mali, anywhere. I will support them. So try to support your people. Stop attacking Afghan.
Yeah, so my own people wouldn't try to invade and attack us, and then have the TTP come in and start kabooming other Pashtuns, right? That though I don't consider them people to be part of mine, right? And second of all, you're from Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, and you're talking bad about my country, yeah. Nothing has been invented in sub-Saharan Africa.
Wait.
Whoa.
You are saying, just a second.
Check the
He's saying
IQ
that
map,
I'm from a.
bro.
Listen.
No,
You are saying I'm from Sub-Saharan
listen,
Africa.
Ellie. I dropped him. There's no point. I dropped him. I don't know why you're trying to spread anti-African rhetoric on an African woman's panel. To me, it's crazy.
I don't. There's like I thought because that's
It's
what's
just
not
bigotry.
that's
It's just bigotry to think that
manila
people have not invented anything. It's just.
sapere what
Mhm.
what the that's straight up like I there's no reason anybody who has there is a way that like the people of our ethnicity Pashtun however you say it it depends on where you're from. There is no like there is no space for this type of like talk. Whenever he doesn't speak the language, he's like, I got family in the army. So he proposes his point. The fact that he's a child. He is a child. I'm gonna give him like the benefit of the doubt. Just
Yes,
that's all.
yes. It's okay. I did want to go to Kim, and then I want to go to Azadi, and then I do want to go back to Sahand after that, as well.
Hi everybody, how you doing?
Okay.
I just wanted to chime in. I there was a woman up on the panel. I don't know if she's still here, but she brought up a really good point, and it was talking about how there are human rights abuses happening in the UAE and a lot of these countries that the West is allied with, their eyes and shit like that. Number one, those two things aren't even comparable. We don't arm the Iranian government, right? We don't do that. And that what you're seeing is Hasbara, just see if she's said anything about it. Because she's like head Hasbara for the US at this point. And I just think like pro-Palestinian activists obviously would want liberation for everybody, but there's obviously a difference in how much the US is involved in Iranian oppression and Palestinian oppression. There's a clear difference.
Okay, thank you very much, Kim. Let's go to Azadi, and then after that, I do want to go to Sahand.
Me or the new Azadi?
No, the new one. Sorry, the
Hello.
top one. Hi, Azadi.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I don't know
What
where
are
to
your
start.
thoughts on the What are your thoughts on the topic? You can answer the question: is it a revolution or an attempted coup? And then after that, you can address whatever was said on the panel that you want to address to.
It's a revolution, but I also think I don't want foreign intervention. A revolution is what it is, but there's a lot of misinformation going around. That's very dangerous. That is Mossad. Like, I will admit there is infiltration. Like, there's no denying that when there's countries asking people to get out of Iran and Mossad blatantly saying, oh yeah, we're in the streets with the Iranian people. I would say that Mossad and Israel has a hand in massacring my people as much as the regime, because it sows doubt, especially into the leftist spaces that don't listen to Iranians when we're constantly telling them they are massacring us. They shut off the internet for 6 days now. That should be a crime under international law. Am I wrong? And then And then they're like, oh, it's for security. No, it's not, because I'm not referring to the 12-day war. I'm referring to 2019 and 2019. I'm referring to 2009 when Iranians had access to Twitter and Facebook, and they were recording the protests and the police brutality. And Nader al-Sultan at the time was pew-pewed and unalived. That's when Twitter was banned, because Iranians were posting what was happening on the ground whenever they protested. And then you have some people on the app who are saying, oh, it's a color revolution, and they try to make excuses for the regime. I mean, I'm sick and tired of it.
Sahand, yeah, what did you want to say? You unmuted.
I haven't come across too many people who are making excuses or defending the regime. Honestly, I think within my generational cohort, I'm under 35. Uh, we're very much opposed to the regime, unless if our families have some way benefited from the regime, because that is also a common thing you come across. If you happen to live in Canada like me, or some parts of America or other parts of Europe, where Iranians who left the country within the last 10 years typically were able to do so because they amassed a certain amount of wealth that is kind of difficult to amass if you don't have some kind of government ties or preferential treatment. That isn't to say there is no meritocracy in Iran. Obviously, the educational systems and institutions do produce top talent, and there are people who are doctors and engineers, etc., that can win those spots just based on merit alone. But with some of the older folks that I come across, at least on these platforms, there are straight up IRGC supporters, and they're often IRGC supporters because they think that these institutions help protect Iran from foreign influences best. So when it comes to leftists or leftist circles that aren't predominantly Iranian or have some kind of connection to Iran, and they express hesitancy about foreign intervention, I do think there's some merit to it. Because, like I said earlier, the Shah's regime was plagued with accusations of being in place and supported by foreign entities that didn't necessarily have Iran's best interests at heart. And now you hear the same accusations levied against Khomeini and the current regime, how they were instilled by foreign interests that didn't really understand what they were bargaining for to begin with. So I'm not going to hold any malice towards anyone who wants America to stay out of this, or is critical of any kind of intervention, or recognizes that Iran's sovereignty should be respected. The only thing I'd point out is that the current regime seems to only excel at oppressing its own people. There was a time where people thought that it could at least protect the sovereignty of Iran, and then it was so brutally violated by the Israelis and Americans during the 12-day war that it's abundantly obvious that they cannot even protect Iran's sovereignty. There's no question that they should be replaced. I just think that should be mostly left to Iranians to do internally.
Fratko, did you want to say something? Or I actually have a question to the Iranians who are on the panel. What are some of the most what's the most common misinformation that you have heard being spread in all of these spaces that you feel like need to be dispelled and addressed? I do want to give you the space to be able to dispel that.
Well, because okay, you want to go?
I mean, all of you can go one by one as well if you want.
First, I do want to thank you for giving us the space. The notion that these are Mossad-backed uprisings, because we do have a right to resist against this regime. We do have a right to fight back, and we are constantly fighting in the streets as I speak. The rhetoric that it's Mossad-backed, it's Israeli-backed, it's US-backed is a very dangerous rhetoric that I keep saying, and that harms us more, because regimes will use that against us and say, oh, well, you don't actually care about freedom. This is just Western backed. That's the most common, and most dangerous rhetoric I've seen so far.
I just wanted to add a qualifier to what I said. I wasn't calling like the entire revolution Hasbara. I was just referring to the way that it's being talked about, at least on like Western social media apps. It's Hasbara. Like there are these obvious Zionists only talking about this in an effort to distract from what Israel's doing, and it's also like a way to like discredit people that may have been advocating against other state-sponsored violence. Personally, I am of the opinion that the revolution is organic, but I think as soon as the West gets involved, like, I don't know, there's not a time in my lifetime where my country has ever gone in anywhere to actually liberate anyone.
Yeah, I understand that, especially when you see a lot of Iranian Zionists. I get it. But the main thing I need you guys to do is just amplify people on the ground, because there's one guy, his name is Irfan Sultani. He is about to be unalived, and if we don't get his name, I want you to search this. I'll put it in the chat.
Yes, I posted about him the other day. Hold on, I have his photo. Hold on 1 second. I had him somewhere here. This guy, right?
Yes, that's him.
Yeah, I had I posted about him, the other day. Continue.
Yeah, so this is what the regime does to stay in power. That's how they accuse us of being with Mossad or with Israel, and then use that as an excuse to unalive us. That's why I say infiltration is very dangerous.
And what have they accused him with? I'm confused.
About unaliving protesters. I'm not sure what they said so far, but anything the regime says about him is false.
Okay. By the way, before we go to Azadi, because I do want Azadi, the second Azadi, or to respond to the question that I had asked, please, gifters, can we get Iman to 2K? That would be genuinely amazing if we could get Iman to 2K. They're the top box. They're also in Gaza. But Azadi Lover 2, what are some common misinformation that you want addressed, that you think are dangerous?
It's sort of similar to what Azadi said as well. She didn't say it like explicitly, but a lot of these talking points are like legitimate regime propaganda that they say on their TV, that they have been saying for a long time to justify what's going on. And as what's his name, Saheda said, they have shown themselves to be an embarrassment, that they cannot even defend the Iranian nation, that they were humiliated in that little. And I think that was a big trigger for why Iranians are uprising. But I also think that foreigners or people in the West should recognize how strong their voice is for talking people who are oppressed. Particularly in America, I think Americans have shown the world where their voice can get them. And I think a lot of people, and not just Iranians, but people who are suffering all over the world, do kind of have a problem with how they're sometimes willing to ignore them or trivialize their issues, and I'll bring it all back to them, especially in the case of Iran. Like, I think Iranians just want to be heard. As Asadi said, there's voices in Iran that just want to be heard, and their internet is shut down right now. So it's my duty to speak for them. It's the duty for every Iranian, for every person, I think, and to speak for them. It's selfish. I think it's the same for everyone, but yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you guys for getting Iman to 2K. I'm about to end my live, but before I do end my live, I do want to go from the top, or actually let's go from the top to the bottom. You can give your final statements. This won't be the only live I'll host, by the way. I'll try to host a live about it tomorrow as well. So if you have any final statements, I'll give you the chance right now before I do end my live, because I do have to go. So we'll go from the Yeah, let's go from the top. Azadi, you said you don't talk. Okay, then let's go to Kim, and then we'll go down the line.
I just want to say, like, I'm pro Iranian liberation. I wish nothing but the best for all the people that are living there. And, like, I don't know. I try to stay away from talking about religion in general, but I think that, you know, religion affects us all in one way or another, and in different areas of the world. There's a dominance of usually one religion over another. And I think that in whatever case, it seems to lead to oppression a lot of the time. And there's like misogynistic themes within all Abrahamic religions. And I just don't think it leads to anything great. And I'm also sensitive to the fact that there are a lot of people that hold these religions like super close to their heart. And that's why I it's relevant. But it is like a hard thing to talk about, I think. But at the end of the day, I'm absolutely pro Iranian liberation. I am just anti-Western intervention in that, because I don't think that that's an effective way to deliver it.
Thank you very much, Kim. Let's go to bite size.
Yeah, so my final statement gonna be like Hakim said, I really support the Iranian to be free from their current dictatorship. However, I feel like the Western intervention, the Zionists and everything, they're trying to hurt the Iranian. They're trying to make it difficult for the Iranian to get freedom. You know, they're trying to push everything with their name on it, and the Iranian government is gonna use that attack coming from the Western countries to say, oh, you see, it is because of the West that they will say it is because of the West that the people are protesting, but in reality, people are suffering. The Iranian people don't want a dictatorship. I 100% support them, but I'm completely against any Western intervention. That's how they destroy countries. They did not allow the people of Cuba to get freedom. They did not allow North Korea, because their leaders are always using the West as an attack to say we are trying to keep the West away from our resources.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Sufyan.
Sorry, I need to point out before. I think can you guys hear me properly, or
Yes, it's a bit echoey, your mic. I don't know if you're like in
Oh, the room I'm in is very echoey. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
The world that we kind of like that we're seeing unfold is one that we have seen before. We have seen, if people think that there's going to be different outcomes by doing the same thing, Albert Einstein had mentioned that repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome, is called insanity. We are diving towards insanity, and it's because the hubris of those who have more power than normal people. When the person below me who's been like glazing the Shah as a revolutionary force, and this is no offense to you, sorry, like I'm just gonna say I do not agree with your point. That comes from misguided history. It comes from a position where there is bias that the person does not wish to disclose, and that sort of talk is prevalent within conversations in the media. It's within conversations around us forever. And when we don't have clarification from people, from individuals, and at this point, anybody that advocates has some sort of like end goal, like within what they're trying to say, like whether it's for themselves or whether it's for an idea that they believe in. When those factors are not put out in front of you, we simply cannot trust that these come from, a goal of sovereignty and autonomy. People might espouse that, but that's not necessarily the case, and that's where I'll lay my plane.
Thank you very much سفيان. أهل غزة والله العظيم مرة آسفة ما أقدر أطلعكم دحين عشان حسكر اللايف، بس حروح لايف بكرة بعدين أقدر أطلعكم واحد بس دحين ما أقدر أطلعكم عشان هسكر اللايف وحروح أنام. والله العظيم آسفة يا أهل غزة والله يحميكم إن شاء الله يا رب. So Azadi, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, thank you, Kavi, for having such a great live, very respectful panel, very educational. I hope we all learned something from each other. I still think that the Pahlavi is a symbol of a counter-revolution, the same way that Khomeini was. That he's a powerful image, and Iranians are not dumb that they don't want another dictatorship. They're not advocating for that. They want democracy, and they just think that the Pahlavi is the way to get to there. So I'm not trying to glaze the Pahlavi, the Shah here, or the prince here, and install him. That's it. And I think that we should stop being in these echo chambers where we identify with these ideologies and political movements. We just embrace being humans, right? Start caring for each other and listen to each other and talk. It's very sad where we've gotten on the internet and all these bots brainwashing us.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much for coming up and sharing your perspectives too. Do people want me to host this same topic again tomorrow? Because I do want to hear from more Iranian voices as well, especially. So if you guys want me to host this topic again tomorrow, just write 1. If you don't think this topic needs to be hosted, then write 2. If you are Iranian and you want to share your topic, your opinion on this, you can definitely come to my live tomorrow, and I will definitely want to hear from you guys as well. So, Afratko, what is your final statement?
Yeah, this was amazing live, Kobe. Very demure, very mindful. The one thing I'm missing is the little window on the top with your face. You know, the beautiful face of yours. That was a little bit like a cheating now, to be honest, because Smithy has a face on all the time. Okay, but okay. Seriously now, I was hearing a few times saying that they could not defend themselves. Now, in fairness, guys, 2 nuclear powers attacked the country in a war criminal act. Okay, it was a legal war. Nobody could defend themselves against that. Okay, basically, U.S. and Israel is behaving like Germany in 1939. If you have noticed, guys, it's kind of the entire world has the 1939 vibes. Nobody it's I do not know what is going to happen. It's really strange. It's like might Israel is back. Everything is for a grab. Even Venezuela, they could not defend themselves, and they had way better systems, for example. So I wish Iranians had to have government they wish. The people living in Iran, whatever government they wish to have, I pray for their wishes to be fulfilled. To be honest, don't forget, more than 60% of Iranians are under 30. Any serious civil war would be devastating for the generation. It would destroy them. So I'm hoping it's going to calm down, to be honest, Kobe, because honestly, too many young people would be unalived. 60%, imagine that, is under 30. People don't it's just youth. Entire generation will be gone. So yeah, let's pray it's going to get better. But with the U.S. government, I do not know, Kobe. I think it's getting really scary. I'm not sure if you feel the same, but it's really it feels like Europe in 1939.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, thank you very much, Afratko. I appreciate
Okay, thank you so much, Kobe. Tomorrow with the little face of yours, and we'll be so happy, all of us.
Maybe Afratko. Bye.
Good night. Bye.
Afratko just wants an excuse to see my face. That's very interesting. No, but I just want to say it was very interesting. For me, by the way, I didn't share my opinion the whole time. I personally do want like Iranian people to be free. I do want Iranian people to be comfortable and flourish within their own country. And so it was very interesting to hear their opinions, of course. Also, I do think that it is very, very important that, that people don't tell Iranians in general what they should feel or what they should think towards their own government, right? I think at the end of the day, everybody is very much entitled to have their own grievances towards their own government, because ultimately they're the ones who are going to live under the government, or they're going to have family members who are going to live under their government, right? So I just wanted the space to kind of see what some thoughts were from Iranians. Of course, I personally do not support foreign intervention, and that's only because I know that foreign intervention usually just leads to, leads to just disaster. But ultimately, at the end of the day, for me, my values are always that I want liberation for all, and of course, I'm not gonna support the oppression of any group of people. But I'm gonna go live around the same time, like 2 hours prior. If you have any Iranian friends, do send them this live for tomorrow around the same time, 2 hours or 3 hours prior. Sunit. I do want to hear more opinions from Iranians. Very, very interesting. And also, to anybody who has lost family, may their souls rest in peace. And may your families stay protected. I'm hearing something about explosion. Hold on, let me check. Somebody said, okay, I don't see anything for now. Yeah, I don't see anything for now. If there is something, we'll probably see it by tomorrow, by the way, and I'll bring it up tomorrow then, if there's any updates. If not, I hope you all have a very good evening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the same topic. Oh, and thank you for all the gifters, by the way.